So, good morning. This is Studio C, the listening room. I am Michael Snyder Barker.
And I'm Andy Schiller.
And this is our new friend, Doug Larsen.
Round of applause.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 27.
27, man.
We're getting up there.
So we've been doing this for 6 months.
We've been doing it every week since the beginning of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and consistently with nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great way to spend a Sunday morning.
We're on a roll.
Hard to keep anything up once a week.
It really is, except for work.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is fun.
Yeah, this is more fun than work, huh?
Yeah, and we get to meet new friends, and Blues Dad was a guy that was here, maybe 12, 14 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's a friend of yours, and you played a Songwriters in the Round or something?
Yeah, we've done several gigs together, so...
Yeah.
Ran into him at the Trinity House,
Okay.
open mics, and then I think some of the song Anon meetings.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, he is... besides, if I've got to know him, he's a super sweet guy.
Yeah.
Genuinely nice human being.
Yeah.
He works harder than anyone I know at getting gigs. If he can't find, he makes gigs. He's been out digging up. Went on a tear a couple months back at VFW halls, and it didn't work out, so on to the next thing. So
That's cool. Man, that's what it's like to be retired, I suppose.
yes, he's also retired a couple of years now. So
Yeah.
yes, it's nice.
Yeah, we have quite an active music scene here in the southeast Michigan area, and it's been nice to get to know each person one at a time that's out there doing gigs and playing guitar and singing songs. And
Yeah, we've met quite a few, some new people that neither of us have ever met.
Yeah.
And Andy's met people he's never met that I bring in, and I've met people I've never met through
Yeah.
Andy. And it's really kind of cool to bring us all together.
And I haven't met either of you, and I've known your faces, so this is great. And I've heard your names, so
Yeah,
super
so
cool.
where do you like to play? What area is your primary gig in?
Yeah, well, I'm from Highland, which is the city just north of Milford kind of area.
Okay.
Nearly halfway equidistant between Flint and Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And so that's kind of home base, although I'll play anywhere. I've played downtown Detroit, played the regional city, Farmington Hills, wherever.
Yeah.
Milford, nice gig in Milford back early spring.
people around here call that northern Michigan, but I don't think that's really northern Michigan, is it?
You know, as far as I came south, it's probably a couple of degrees cooler, I'm going to guess.
Most
Beautiful
likely.
drive. I haven't been to Tecumseh, I don't know when. I've been here, and I can't remember when. But,
Or why.
Really pretty.
Can't remember why either.
Well, it's good to see the soybeans are doing well. Corn is nearly knee-high.
But yeah.
I saw some alfalfa or something. I wasn't sure what that was even.
No clue. I'm not a farmer.
Here
Andy
we
grew
are.
up on a farm.
We're out in the middle of a cornfield, everybody, but you know, the nice thing is Ann Arbor is only 25 minutes that way, and so it's people from all around the world there.
Absolutely. And Toledo is about 50 minutes that way,
Well,
but we don't go there.
no.
Only sometimes.
You know,
I get it. We don't have to even expound on that.
the zoo is very nice.
So tell us about your most recent gig and anywhere that you might be playing.
Yeah, so I guess this spring I had a few nice gigs. Having been retired just last August, approaching, I guess it's been like 11 months now.
Nice.
Ramped up to that. Played a zillion nearly weekly, twice weekly open mics whenever I could while I was finishing up work.
Yeah.
So now I'm starting to get and figure out how to get more gigs and
Sure.
expand and
Sure.
looking into festivals and things like that. So hopefully next year I didn't get cut on any of those. But so good gigs this year. Played Aretha Franklin's Jazz Cafe inside the music hall.
Very nice.
Super cool.
I can imagine.
It's called Songwriters in the Round. They have usually 3 performers, although I think the last one I saw a couple weeks back had 6. But yeah, sweet. It's actually an old bar with kind of the tin squares on the ceiling and wood mahogany everywhere. Pictures of all the old Detroit revered musicians, of course, Aretha, Stevie Wonder, everybody hanging up photographs
Motown.
from back in the day. Great small stage, and it's inside the music hall.
Yeah.
So super cool. It was a neat gig. I didn't tell anybody I was going to be playing with distortion, first of all, and then So I also didn't tell anybody that the last song, my Village Idiot song, I had the backing track completely built in with the drums. The drum kit, I garbage picked. It's a child's drum kit. It took some care and some work to figure out how to record that. It's really little, and so I recorded each thing separately, the kick, the crappy little snare, the cymbals.
Steely Dan style.
Well, it's the only way I can do it because I'm not a drummer. And I mean, the thing is really little, right? And,
right.
So I had that all recorded in at the Aretha Franklin Jazz Cafe. And then the last song, I said, okay, this is my last tune. This is called Village Idiot. I wrote it the day after the election, which had been my dad's birthday. And I said, being a very silly song, there's only one way it can get sillier. And then I turned around, and if you want to hand me my bag there.
This one?
Yep.
Bag of tricks.
Yep. And so the song, should we play it? Should we?
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
hear it.
I mean, you're talking about it. They want to hear it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Village Idiot.
All right, and to do it right, so let me sip that.
Right, the sipping the tea is the most essential ingredient.
Yep. And so, the way it gets sillier, I had my other glasses too, dang it.
This is fun. I'm having fun already.
Good. You know, I have a thing. Folk music could used to be more fun, in a lot of ways. So I do my best.
Yeah.
So to do it properly...
Is this a hat you've made?
Yes. So this was a Halloween thing I did 30 years ago. I burned my head all over with a hot melt glue gun, making this in a mirror while sipping, probably took 4 or 5 beers or something to do it. Took quite a while. My wife had to glue the final pieces on the back where I couldn't see.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
It is more Black Lagoon. The original idea for Halloween was I had a coat hanger, and I had the castle from the Goldfish Bowl wired on it. And I walked around all night saying, hey, look, a castle, where'd that come from? Because the old saying is goldfish have no memories.
Right.
Which actually isn't probably true.
What a great song.
You know, at first when you pulled out the bag and I saw something orange inside, I thought you'd brought a huge bag of Cheeto dust.
Ah.
You know, it does have that shade, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Same color as Cheetos.
Totally different flavor.
Yeah, it just happened to be what we had around for whatever reason. And I think it was Halloween evening, but...
Yeah, it's perfect, though.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, could you tell us what you were thinking about as you were writing that song?
Yeah, so it was actually the election results. I actually worked in a small town where I live, Highland. I worked the elections this past year, and we had a record number. I think there were four or five of them. The results came in. I worked a 12-hour, 14-hour day or something. Came home, watched, and it's like, oh, geez, checked my phone in the morning after I woke up, and wrote the song pretty quickly after that. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think many of us feel very much the same.
I think so. Depending on where you are. Yeah.
That's a great song. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, tell us about this wonderful board you have here.
Sure. So the structure of the board, walnut from my backyard, had a pipeline. I live, it used to be called the Eastern Panhandle Pipeline. They changed the name. I think it got bought up by consumers or something, but goes through my yard, northwest to southeast. It's 18 inches diameter. Cuts off about a quarter of my yard at a kind of an odd angle. And they redid it about 5 years ago and put it in a 24-inch, 2-foot diameter pipeline. So it was fascinating to watch, actually. When they did that, they took out some trees. They paid me for them, which was nice. And then I let them sit in a big pile and then undid the pile the following spring. Had a buddy bring over, I paid him, we milled the boards, and I've got a storage container worth of wood now. So I'm starting to do my woodworking now that I'm retired. I've been collecting tools for years, used old tools and refurbishing them.
Oh, okay, if you have some 1/4-inch walnut, see that sign behind you right there? So I made that on my laser cutter.
Oh, I do. I can make
Yes.
any thickness you want.
Hey, cool. Well, we might have to talk later.
We'll talk. I've also got, besides the walnut, I've got quite a bit of white oak, some cherry, and a bit of hickory.
Okay.
So
nice.
kind of cool. So yeah, walnut. I did this quick with no. I had basically laid the pedals out, decided on what footprint I needed. Previous one was long and skinny and kind of obnoxious and kind of too much dancing over too much space. So
Right.
condensed it a little bit, made it slightly deeper. I was also thinking to make a board that would work for both the acoustic and electric guitars.
Yeah.
This works. The distortion, everything works just fine with like K&K pickups.
Yeah,
you know,
K&K
piezo.
pickup. Yep.
I've got a G45 out in the hallway with Sunrise humbucker. Works great with this one. So electric guitars also works. So it's powered by a drill battery. This is my 24-volt Cobalt that I use for drills and lights and impact wrenches and stuff like that. I've got a charger in the house, one out in the garage. It fits into a socket. You can buy those sockets on Amazon, for instance. Not that I'm pushing Amazon, for around $10. Whatever, if you got Milwaukee tools or Cobalt or
You could always find them on eBay too.
yeah, you can find those things that are like $10. And I screwed it to the side of the board. The wiring is underneath, covered up by a patch of old leather from my wife's leftover stuff, so it's kind of hidden. And it uses something called a buck converter. The one I bought is about this big, and it's got 4 wires, 2 in and 2 out. And it steps up or down a DC, I think maybe only down, I'm not sure it steps up, but it will step down a DC voltage to a DC voltage.
DC to DC?
Yes. Yes, because the battery's DC, and then of course everything runs on, typically on your 9 volts.
9 volts.
And normally, if you know much about electronics, you have to have AC for a transformer.
Okay.
Right? So that's why I think inside the chip is something like Class D amplification, which is shutting the sound on and off quicker than your ear can process any difference. In fact, it's probably Class D is probably off more than it's on because the wattage it draws is really, really low. So I think this has something like that. It's stopping chopping, and then that way you can kind of create an AC like, so the magnetic field goes out, it stops, out and back and forth,
Okay.
and the windings, the magnetic field cut the windings, and there's a screw, set screw. And
You know what, Doug?
the output
I am
voltage.
so glad there are people like you in the universe who know all these things. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Well, geez, thanks.
So it doesn't need a rectifier because it's not converting AC to DC.
Oh, okay, so somebody else who understands it.
I think
I'll just sit over here.
there are probably some caps in there for filtering, and maybe it's just such a high frequency that you don't need it. It's kind of like the Class D, you can't hear the difference, so it's not actually switching. The positive and negative aren't switching. The positive is just going off
I
at a
see.
really fast rate. I think that's how it works. So anyways, that steps to 24 volts down to 9.5 or something. All the wiring's underneath. I drilled some just systematic holes where I thought I would need them. Try to keep the wiring underneath. So I've got an EQ for when I get into a bad situation. I need to slice the frequency.
Gotta
for-
have one of those.
Yeah. It's normally off unless I need it, right? A compressor, which helps. This thing doesn't ring real long. Arch tops kind of die. It helps that a little bit.
What do all those dials do on the top?
So this is 2 compressors built in. So one tends to like single coils, and one tends to like humbuckers.
Okay.
And one has got a bad pot, and so I don't use one side. It was given to me, and it's got a bad pot, and I can't clean it. I have to
By
replace it.
compressor. Compresses twice?
No, they're not in series. They're just
it's
2
one
separate.
or
well,
the
you know
other.
what? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if you can use them both.
Huh. That's
Interesting.
fascinating.
It'll turn on. I got the volume off right now, but one's got a bad pot, the volume pot, and it cuts out, and I never could get it. So I use the other side.
Yeah.
Then let's see, what is the signal path on this now? Let's see, compressor. Then probably into this is a Klon.
It's a what?
A Klon copy.
Klon. Okay.
Yeah, so a guy named Bill Finnegan in the early 90s built the first Klon. Interesting. It is kind of unique. There are loads and loads of copies now, but the original ones were like $350 because he handmade them himself. They quit making them. The prices went up to like $5,000 or something.
Wow.
And
So you built one.
yeah, so at the time the guy was kind of being an odd person. He quit making. He's a funny guy. I don't know him or anything, but if I read about. So anyway, somebody took one and uncovered. He put epoxies the board so you can't see what somebody chiseled. Somebody in Taiwan had produced the circuit board, and I bought it and ordered all the components and put it all together. But
A
it
kit.
Yeah. No, I ordered them all separately.
Oh, so
I made a
there
big
wasn't
list.
a
I had
kit.
a schematic and a parts list. Yeah. There's
Wow.
a couple places you can order. So anyways, it took me 2 whole days to put together. It worked right off the bat. Normally, that's whenever I built something like that, there's usually you made some mistake. And as complex as that was the biggest home run I've ever had. So it stays on all the time. I don't know how to describe it. It's, most people don't use them for dirt. Most people use them as a nice clean boost, and it just makes everything sound better, whether it's a single coil or humbucker. It just sounds better. I don't know how to describe it.
You just turn it on and it sounds better.
It kind of adds some dynamics.
And
to this.
I really know nothing. Is that gain? The red knob?
Yeah, so gain, overdrive, and tone.
Tone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your overdrive is almost
Yeah, it's
all
pretty
the way down.
Yeah, and that's pretty typical. I probably could have turned that up to goose the overdrive a little bit more. So yeah, it goes from there. I think then it goes into super, these maybe $30 on reverb. They've made them
Yeah.
forever. I love Boss pedals. They don't make any clicking noises. They're just, you can
They only
drive
have the
over
one
them.
button.
You
They
can drive
have two
over them with a
buttons.
car. I mean, I actually have a dirt pedal I like better, but I can't stand the click, click. I mean, it echoes. It's just
Oh,
obnoxious.
yeah.
So, and then vibrato pedal, which I use unlatched. So as long as my foot's down, it's
Oh.
warbling, and then I can do whatever I want.
It's
Oh.
only
Kinda
on while you're
dice.
stepping on it. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
Okay, that's cool.
A Boss thing, and these are interesting. I love that. It's kind of cheesy, but
Yeah. Well, cheese sometimes makes the whole meal.
yeah, exactly. And and so then I've got a little delay on.
But it's a carbon copy. Does that mean it's something you made?
No. That's MXR pedal. That's
Okay.
It's a nice, one of the nice ones that was.
Analog delay, no digital delay.
I really know nothing, so please be patient with my childlike.
No problem.
All right.
No, it's just a relatively inexpensive and a nice delay. So.
Nice.
And then the looper. This I just got. I usually use a Boss one for a long time, and I realized I couldn't put the whole Village Idiot song on for one thing.
Oh.
And since I've been doing most of my own recording and mixing, it's easy for me to just take the track and mute the things and spit out the files and put them in.
Right.
So I figured I'd use it more going forward since it's just me
Yep.
most of the time. Although I've found a buddy that drums, we're working on it. So so that's the looper. It also has rhythm and all that. That sounds cheesy to me, some of the fake
The
drum
canned
stuff.
drum kits.
Yeah, I don't like them so much. And then this is a amp emulator. So I keep 2 settings on with electric guitars. I can have one that's kind of a Fender sound and one's more Marshall. And that's,
You
And
missed-
what's the gray box?
Yeah.
secondary switch for the looper. I
Oh,
don't know
okay,
if
yeah.
you use loopers much,
Oh.
but to double stop,
I use the boomerang.
okay, yeah, I've been infatuated with those for years. I never broke down.
It has a sidecar, so you can have
Yes.
4 more buttons.
Yes.
And that's, so I understand how you have like a side switch, or some of them
Yes.
even have a continuous controller that you can plug in for either volume moves or
Yes.
fade outs or stuff like
Yes. So this one works exactly the same as most of the Boss, or at least the single, the small single pedal Bosses. That when you put in a loop in order to stop it, I tend to play the verse first or something and put it in as an intro, and you can only stop it without it continually recording another track on top of it by double stepping, and double stepping within a pretty short amount of time.
That sounds like a nightmare to
and
me.
it's kind of a nightmare. So with the external switch, you just hit it once and it just freaking stops.
Problem
I don't know
solved.
why they made them do what they do, because no one that I know uses it that way hardly.
Yeah.
And, some guys loop on top of loops on them. I mean, Andrew Bird is famous musician. I think he's out of Chicago with that, loops and whistles. He plays fiddles and guitars and builds his loops with all those instruments largely himself. But he's the only one I know that adds the layers. So this just so I can play the verse and I can shut it off. Then I can just play the song, and when I come to the verse, I can start it up, and then I can solo over it, and then shut it off again.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, very nice.
So it's just all that is a push button switch in a box.
We're gonna, at the end of the podcast, we'll take a close-up photo and put that on the corner of the screen so everybody can see it in more detail.
Now, the most important feature, though, that I see that you have is you built a handle on it.
Yes.
Makes it so much more convenient.
Yeah, that's they throw out stuff at work sometimes, and I'm like, hey, what, a sheet of aluminum or something or whatever. Well, I used to work, and that's where the handle came from, I think.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah. I like to recycle stuff. I don't like to buy stuff.
No, it's awesome. And
So tell us how the pedals are connected to the board.
Yeah. So they're fastened down. I don't like Velcro. Velcro is kind of impermanent to me. So one of my hobbies is ride bicycles, mostly road bikes. I just started mountain biking a little bit late last summer. But I pop bicycle chains apart and use the two side stampings. They look like an 8 with 2 holes in them. And so one, I undo the screw from the bottom of the pedal and screw that into it, and then I spin it around wherever I want it and use the other hole and screw it down to the board. So I just put tiny screws into the wood itself, and they're not going anywhere. You can lift the board up with pedals. Velcro, I've had too many Velcro things. The glue fails. I worked in adhesives too. I should be able to get pressure sensitive adhesives to stick to something, but sometimes it's just an ordeal you don't want to fight. So.
Right. No, that's very practical.
So I highly recommend. I don't know where I learned that from. I've been doing that for a long time. I think I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, last gig I showed up to, I opened up my pedal board and all the Velcros were stuck to the board and all the pedals were flopping around. So the Velcro came off. All right, it is what it is.
Yes, and after about 5 times of that, where you show up somewhere and you're like, oh man, and you're undoubtedly late or something because of some traffic snafu, and you got a pile of pedals in a box, and
then you just don't use them.
Yeah, you screw it at that point.
There's always that.
I'm trying to figure out how to use a pedal board, and we had a practice last week, and I didn't have it set up right, so I just tried to use one pedal, and it didn't sound good, so I just went through the amp, and I haven't touched it since because life's busy.
Life's busy. It's one of those things. Something's got to force you to say, okay, I'm going to have to stick with it. I mean, loads of musicians just run up and twiddle knobs and they're good to go, and I get that, and I'm not bad at that. But this thing here actually really likes the board going straight in to a PA. This pickup made for electric guitar. The impedance resistance is too low. Doesn't work well with most of your sounds, kind of real thin and tinny, so this helps with the impedance.
Tell us about this awesome guitar.
Sure. So this is a 1934 Epiphone Zenith model.
34?
Yeah. So she's 90, could be 91 years old, I guess.
Wow. What are you going to do for the 100th birthday?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's going to get there soon. I should be around for that, hopefully.
I was going to say, and it doesn't have a scratch on it. But
so I had this probably 4 months or something. Buddy had a little bonfire a couple miles from my house. I brought it over. He has a bonfire on a gravel driveway. And Buddy might say, hey, can I see your guitar? And he said, the reason I bought it, I'm a huge fan of Gillian Welch and David Rawlings. Mm-hmm. I think you guys should know who they are.
Of course.
David Rawlings plays a 35 Olympic. It's actually 1 year newer and one size smaller than this. Those are rare as hen's teeth and went up ridiculous prices years and years ago when they first became famous, probably 25 years ago now. So these are you can still get these for, well under $1,000. Most of the time they're not too expensive. So it's got a carved top. It's got laminated back and sides of walnut. It has a reinforcement in the neck. It's not adjustable, so it's got a little too much relief.
That's the way it is.
Just play the first 3 frets.
Deal with it, yes. So in my buddy's driveway, I loaned it to a buddy. He played it, handed it back to me. I put it back on my strap. It came off the button, hit the gravel, and the neck block came undone inside, and the neck was still attached, so decided after a couple weeks of a bunch of reading and research and looking around with lights inside to fix it, and then of course I cracked the sides trying to undo the neck block, and I had my heat stick in and steam and all that crap. I finally got it all apart, and I had to make some jigs, so I glued it all back together. Played it for a couple of years. Then frets were down to almost nothing. I couldn't believe how I could still play the damn thing. So I refretted it with the gold Evo frets, so they should last a very long time. Bridge, I couldn't decide whether ebony or rosewood, so I got a piece of both. Just crap I laid around to get it set up right. I think this might be a replacement. I think an original before me. This is my damper to keep these from sympathetically ringing. And let's see, I put nice tuners. These are Grover's awesome open back tuners, like $40 or something. And the thing weighs about 3 pounds, and it's got a half a pound of wire and stuff in there. So she's got a very
Very woody.
dry, woody, very fundamental kind of sound. It's louder than a lot of arch tops, and it's voiced a little tad higher. So it actually works really nicely for playing leads, sitting around bonfires and stuff, whatever. With your, everybody's got flat tops and.
So do you have flat wound strings on there? I mean, are those are
These are flat wounds.
flat? Wow. Okay.
So I've been playing this so much since I put this pickup on it. I had it taped to it for a while.
Tell us about the pickup too.
Yeah, sure. I'm a fan of these. These are Diarman Hershey bars. So Diarman, the Rowe Diarman company made all kinds of things for instruments way back. I don't know when they go back. I think probably the 20s or 30s or something. They made tons of pickups. Most of these were on silver tones and harmonies and what you would call department store guitars. The thing is, these are designed quite well. So I just put one. I just picked up another one and finished putting one on my Telecaster yesterday, and it sounds even more clear and more Fendery than the Fender, and they're totally encased in metal, so they're more feedback resistant than any kind of single coils out there that we've adopted as the new kind of the standard, right? And they don't seem to be as sensitive height-wise, so you kind of give them the ballpark, and you might tip it a little bit to get the bass and treble balanced, and that's kind of it. So after taking it out with gaffer's tape to it, I said, okay, I screwed it in, figured, you know, worst, I just got 2 little holes to fill if I take it off, and then I had the cable gaffer's tape to the outside for a long time. At one point I said, okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to work through these holes and get that fished in. So I made a tool that fits in the back, like a 1/4-inch jack, and shove it in through, plug the jack and pull it back and work through the holes. And I got it mounted. I got the wires inside, and it doesn't rattle. And so this pickup really likes this guitar. Nice. So no controls. I can go from it sounding pretty and acoustic like you saw to a roaring, distorted Les Paul.
And it's a Diarman pickup.
Diarman, yes.
And is it is it a vintage pickup, or is it something that's made recently?
No, this is either 61 or 63. They just had little stamps on the back with 2 numbers and a year. Production numbers, I don't know what they mean, but the year is the last 2. So this one is either 61 or 63, and they made them as far back as like 58 or middle 50s, this one. They also made a lot of the gold foils you've seen, silver tones and things. That's another Diarman pickup. This has like 3.2K windings, about a quarter of what a Fender would have. And it hits amps harder than anything that... maybe harder than humbuckers. So it's...
Well, you know, maybe the deal is that as they try to get more complex and use cheaper parts, they're not quite as solid and effective as the older ones.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty true. And on top of that, I think this guy was quite good designer, quite a good electrical engineer, understood magnetism and such. And encasing the thing, I mean, we got a little hum here, but this is the first time I've ever heard it hum, to be honest. So they're quite hum resistant. It's impressive. Yeah. So they're just a nice pickup, and I put it on the guitar, and the first time I took it to Trinity House and I strummed it, and it was whoa, and somebody said, what is that? What the heck? You know, and I explained to them, I just put the thing on and it's held down with tape, and they're like, man, and I just get compliments wherever I went. So I figured, then I got my pedal board set up to get the impedance match right, so any system I go to, it just sounds kind of the same. So.
Very nice.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to show us your other guitar?
I can do that. It's just a J45, but sure.
All right, yeah, we'll edit. We'll just cut out the part where you grab the guitar.
Okay.
Well, you brought it all this way, so you might as well show it off.
And I did.
Very interesting. Curious about this pick too.
Door open or closed? I forgot.
Closed.
Makes more sense.
What's up with your guitar pick? Or maybe you could save it for the...
Oh, yeah, I have another story. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll do that. We'll go to the guitar pick next.
All right, here we are. So tell us about your guitar pick.
Guitar pick. These are pointless picks. So
they're what?
Pointless?
pointless picks. I actually invented these. I drew them up. A friend of a friend was a patent attorney. I worked with a lot of patents over the years in my career, but those were different kind. Well, this was, it's called the design patent. Basically, it's a sketch. Any kind of sketch you can fit into a box about this big. You can probably patent. So the early Macintosh computers, when they were all in that one kind of gray box, you know, when they had the smiley face came on.
Yeah.
It patented everywhere. Just was the shape of the box. That's nothing.
Man.
You know, the software and what it did wasn't. It was just the box. So, so anybody listening, actually, you can do this now at home. The patent wore off. I think 17 years is up. So, so started a little company. My wife and a buddy. I went to our first NAMM show in Summer NAMM in Nashville. We got our best spot. Our booth was as you came down the escalator. We were right there. We were dressed in black and blue turquoise bowling shirts, and we could afford to give these away because they were. I was making them for like 20 cents each to make them, so I could give a bunch away, and we were a hit. And so the Sunday morning, we were a little late getting in because we were out dancing and
Well,
you know,
yeah.
drinking in Nashville. We came in and they're like, "You guys missed it. You won the award. You won the award." So we won a Best in Show award in the new small goods category. So we signed
That
up.
is awesome.
We signed up about, I don't know, 70 small music stores. I never could break into the big ones. I went down to Sweetwater. I got a tour of the facility, talked to the purchasing guys. They're like, "Man, we just can't take you on for one thing. We got too many picks already." I'm like, "Yeah, but they're round, right?"
Right.
You know, and they're like, "You know, who plays the round picks?" I'm like, Django Reinhardt, Brian May, a few guys you may have heard of play with round things. So, but yeah, no. So then the economy collapsed. So that was 2008. By 2009, the world had stopped, and music stores were pretty much only placing orders with their distributors where they could pay off over time.
Right.
I couldn't get picked up with distributors. They're like, "We'd love to pick you up. We like the idea, but we need more products." So I designed a few more things, looked at getting them made, and at the time, the mold shop I was making this, they lost their ability to make molds. They would run them, but they wouldn't make them anymore. Most of that went shipped to China. Some of the prices that you get quoted to make some of the new products were just obscene. And so I wound it down last year. People still send me letters. I get like letters from vets and things that have, you know, missing digits or nerve issues, and I just send them pics. You know, I'll send you 20 of them or 10 of them in an envelope. If you don't know me, you know, you don't know me.
That's
So,
nice.
yeah, I've got lots of them left. I'll leave some with you guys.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
There's 3 different thicknesses for 3 different stiffnesses. I use the medium these days. So.
Okay.
You know, if I'm not happy with my guitar picks, I just take a nail file and kind of shape the point a little bit more because, I don't know, I'm picky about that stuff too.
Many people play with the backside of the round triangle pick. Yeah, lots of
I just bought these little plastic things.
Yeah.
That are grips.
silicone. Yeah,
Yeah.
Very
to
nice.
go on mine
Here, here.
because
you can try. It's slippery, but the ring's got.
yeah, the
some-
ring
like-
kind of does that.
It's a pick condom.
That's what you
But
have.
I've got a little bit of arthritis in this finger, so I typically end up playing with the 2 fingers.
I did that forever.
Yeah, yeah.
I finally converted myself away from that a couple of years back.
Yeah,
I don't know
well,
why I did. I don't remember. But
I'd like to convert myself away from that knuckle arthritis.
yeah.
Have you ever heard of McPherson picks? They're kind of triangular, but they have a hole in the middle, so when you grip the pick, your fingers actually contact each other.
Yes,
Oh.
that's a patented thing. I found
That's
that.
patented,
You
yeah.
can't put. I think he has one big hole and patterns of holes and picks for grip are a patented thing, at least
Yep.
until it wears off. So
Yeah.
Right.
But that's really a cool idea.
yeah,
It's brilliant.
thanks. Well, I dropped enough of them, and then and I went through a bunch of different materials, to figure out what I liked and grinding and filing and that kind of stuff. So
Well, the little ridge on there, I can see how, once you have a grip on it, it's not going to move around because
Right.
it has kind of a little,
you don't really drop them.
that circular grip there. It's
And
perfect.
then I had the molds made specially so it tapers to a point actually. So they're quite slick. and
Tapered,
they
there we
don't
go.
They don't make a lot of noise. So this is a medium.
Sounds great.
Yes, when I filed the braces down, so it got louder. So yeah, this is my normal. Before I started taking this thing around, this is my normal gigging guitar. I took
It's a lot brighter than the other one.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. And a lot louder and a lot more overtones. I mean, tons of overtones. It's flat top, right, compared to the arch. So, but
Now, what is it? I can't see the top.
a G45.
I
I think this is I forget what they call this one. This one has a Adirondack top,
Okay.
red spruce top, and everything else is just normal.
And not a scratch on it.
Oh, this has got some scratches on it, of course, but yeah. And then a Sunrise pickup, which I forgot what I had in here before. Oh, it came with an Aura with a microphone.
Okay.
I can remember an open mic at River's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Started on my second song. It's got a lot of hard surfaces. It's kind of a typical brewery. They've got some sound treatments up now, but it was pretty horrific. Hard to hear, no monitors and that kind of crap. And I don't remember what note I hit, and the guitar just started taking off. So the next time that chord came around, I said, well, I just won't hit the root, right? And again, wow! And
Clarinet solo.
I got the next day. It came out, so it didn't. I don't know. It had something on the soundboard, and then it had a microphone, and I don't know.
Yeah, the mic. I have a Cordoba classical guitar, and it has two pickups. It has a mic and it has a piezo underbridge.
Yeah, and you can blend or.
And if I'm recording, I use the mic 100% all the time. I don't use the pickup. If I'm at live, if it's a live show, it's the other way.
All the way, yeah.
Because otherwise it sings too much.
Yes.
Do you ever blend them?
I do blend them, but you got to be careful. It's like, all right, I'm going to blend it. Okay, so 90% piezo, 10% mic is about as far as you can go before it starts to feed back.
And I think this has a small bridge plate, so I'm not sure that the things that were on there before were in the right spot. It didn't sound good just with the piezo, and you had to put a little air into it, and it just feedback was just kind of horrific. So it came out. So.
Do you want to play us a song on this guitar?
Sure. Let me see what I. Okay, yeah. Play something pretty new. Haven't recorded yet, so I've released 2 songs so far this year. One was "Village Idiot," which. You edit, you'll hear, or you've heard. And the other one was "See My Name." I'm going to play something different, just because it's fresh in my head. I'm kind of working it out, so maybe play that one afterwards. But I'm working on a new album, little by little. Probably, I watched closely your show with David Roof. I'm trying to get, hopefully.
Dave's a good old friend of mine.
Yeah,
I've known him
you
forever.
guys go way back, which is really cool. So, and I haven't. I need to get in there. I didn't understand how he worked initially. I thought I haven't worked with anybody like that before. So, I think I asked him if he could just record me a bunch of guitar tracks and send me the stems. I don't think he works that way, but what he does is he can quickly, typically in a day, nearly finish a song.
Yes.
Because he's got everything there. I didn't realize that. So, in this day and age, I've got 10,000 listens from my previous album through my TuneCore. I've made 22 cents. So, spend $5-10 grand on an album.
You can almost afford that gumball you've been saving up for.
Might make $1. Might make $1.
I spent a lot of money on about 5 or 8 recordings at Rooftop, and I've gotten 2 checks for $25 from CD Baby.
Wow.
I made $50 out of all that money I spent. But if we did it for the money,
Correct. Yeah. Fair point.
I'm grateful I don't do it for a living, but I do it to live.
Correct. understand that completely.
Yeah.
That's the artistic thing. So
Describe the song you're about to play.
yeah, so this is just something pretty new, kind of different. Lately, been getting an idea just as I drift off to sleep and then write it down in the morning, like, hey, that can work with that. So this is called Pitch, and it's kind of my ode to springtime, and I've been, it's just more energetic. Yeah, so. Rest my heart with Mr. B. Strike me blind, don't deserve to see. Feel that old pitch rising up in me. Springtime set me free. I curse the violence, magnolia trees, sweet perfume mocks my dreams. Color of her dress, notches set me free. Springtime, let me be. Autumn always brings about the changes. Winters occupied with staying warm. Summer's laziness ripe with poetry. Springtime's danger be forewarned. Rest my heart with Mr. B. Strike me blind, I don't deserve to see. Feel that old pitch rising up in me. Springtime set me free. I curse the violence, magnolia trees, sweet perfume haunts my dreams. Color of her dress, notches set me free. Springtime, let me be. Autumn always brings about changes. Winters occupied with staying warm. Summer's laziness ripe with poetry. Springtime is danger before war. Rest my heart with Mr. B. Strike me blind, I don't deserve to see. Feel that old pitch rising up in me. Springtime set me free. Springtime set me free. Springtime.
Wow, that's a great song.
This is going to be on your new recording that you're planning.
Yeah.
What beautiful song.
Thank you. I got a bunch of them ready to go. I had to slow up a little bit doing some repairs in my midsummer chores now that the weather's good since
I hear you.
Since I'm retired. So we'll get back at it as the weather cools down.
There's an organization or a collective called FAM, February Album Writers Month, where you write 14 songs in 28 days. They do a summer version where it's 50-90, 50 songs in 90-day challenge, July to September. And I've never achieved all of it. I didn't even do
Wow.
this last February. But I think the most I've done for the summer thing was about 36 songs.
Wow.
I got about 3 good ones.
Yeah. Yes. As I get older, I'm pretty good at filtering and stopping the work on the ones that aren't seem to going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, usually pretty quickly once you get an idea, as you start fleshing it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a wall you didn't see, but
It's just like, it's a nice challenge. You know, because they say if you write every day, you write every day.
I'm a huge proponent of writing every day. A book I recommend to a lot of budding songwriters, Jeff Tweedy of Wilco fame. How to Write One Song by Jeff Tweedy. It's a small little book, and about the first half or nearly half of the book is how to get your head in that right place. Basically, how to crush that ego, that thing. We all have this kind of default mode network thing in our head. It's that little voice that says, "Oh, why did you even think you could do that? Look you screwed that up again." You know, on and on and on.
But we ignore that voice.
And part of that is your ego. What are other people going to think? What are they going to say? They're going to probably think you're a moron, whatever. And if once you can suppress that enough, then you can write fairly easy.
I never let that stop me.
Yeah.
I mean, sounding like a doofus is part of my trademark.
We all sound like a doofus. That's and so once you give it, that's how you got through 30 whatever songs and 36 songs in a couple
I wrote
months.
some goofy songs like Surf Zombie with Barker and Broski. That was a fun song. I wrote Daddy Bought a Monkey for Christmas for Barker and Broski. I've written some other ones just for my solo work.
Sweet. Do you remember any of those?
Not the only one I can remember is I Think I Might Be Cursed. That's the only one. I don't do well at memorizing, but it's fun to write in a variety of different styles, like the epic tale of Dungeons and Magic and Dragons, all the way to Surf Zombie.
Agreed. And I do the same thing too. I will do full, really sappy, sentimental things, something a little faster like that. What I have figured out in the past year, tons of gigging, playing and open micing and so forth, is that, especially with this thing, adding the distortion.
Yeah.
And I use it pretty high level of it. The contrast is just pretty interesting.
We were in the studio at Rooftop. Andy on lead guitar, I was on rhythm and vocals and wrote the song. A guy named Phil Mack was on drums.
Okay, I've heard his name.
And David Roof was on bass. And I wrote this epic tale song. And there's parts where it's like classically pretty and beautiful. And then in comes what, Andy?
Violin.
No, heavy distortion.
Oh.
Heavy
Sorry.
distortion. And it's just intermittent, and that's really kind of fun.
Yeah. And they're bands that I've loved. I'm actually I'm going to drive 12 hours for a bucket list to see a band that from back, and then they're still together. They released an album this year, but called Buffalo Tom. They're based out of Boston.
Okay.
And I've loved the band's writing. I've loved the guitar sounds for 35 years now. Right? And,
man.
So I'm finally going to go see. The tickets are only $43. That's how I can justify driving 12 hours each way to go see a band, right? So, but yeah, I love their guitars, and
Buffalo
they use Marshall
Tom?
amps and what's
Buffalo Tom?
Yeah.
I hear people use images of Marshall amps with little amplifiers behind them.
They do. When you go see a concert, now there's a wall of Marshalls. That's a facade. There's just a couple, and they're mic'd up now because no one. I mean, the hearing damage. It's. And I got enough myself. I got the.
Well, same here. I had to adjust my hearing aids when you did the first song so I could understand the words.
Oh.
Yeah.
One thing I figured out, I first got these, and when I would tune a guitar and hit a nice pure single string, I'd hear beats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you can have that shut off. What I figured out, I had to Google, I figured out what it is. So the pitch that they're playing in the speaker, in your ear, is shifted a few hertz from the actual sound coming in.
Oh.
And the reason they do that is because if you remember, like older relatives back in the day when they had the big orange, you give them a hug, got too close, and whoop, and they'd say, "Whoa!"
Feedback.
Well, by adjusting what's played back to the sound you're hearing by a few hertz, you eliminate that feedback issue. The problem is when you have a very, very pure kind of a sine wave tone, like a guitar string, you hear beats. So I had that function shut off on mine. I went to a research, figured it out, and she made a phone call, and they shut that off, and then it was like, I brought my guitar in too, and I was like,
Now you can tune.
I can hear it. It doesn't, it's not beating, so.
Yeah, and I don't have that beat either, which I'm grateful for.
Oh, okay, good. Good.
Yeah, but I understand the foibles and flaws and such.
They're not perfect. Yeah.
No, but I mean, if we wanted perfect, we would have saved our ears.
Yes. Oh, we would have had much less fun, probably.
That's
But
probably
some of
true.
it wasn't fun. Some of it is Briggs and Stratton's fault, right? But,
Right.
and not AC/DC, but
Yeah.
or
yeah.
Buffalo Tom or whatever. So. Yeah.
So what kind of gigs do you have coming up? Of course, it'll be after next Sunday.
Yes. So I've laid off a bit. I am retired 11 months ago. Many things that broke over the past few years I just put off buying new because I can fix it or having people come in and do it because I'll do it when I get retired. So I did a lot of stuff over the winter I could do and a lot of things I couldn't quite get to until the weather warmed up. So I have a little hiatus in the middle of summer where I don't have much. I'll still pop in local open mics and things, hang out with buddies and Trinity and that kind of stuff for kicks, but not too many gigs. The last 2 weeks of July, heading down to visit my son. He lives in Chattanooga, so I'm excited to do that, and to do that I have to get my truck back together. I have a big old Dodge towing truck with a Cummins diesel, and the throwout bearing decided to destroy itself 2 weeks ago as I was pulling into a campground, so I actually got it home. I got it pulled out. It's on the floor, and I had ordered a bunch of parts. I almost killed myself working all 3 days through that heat wave we had.
Yikes. Oh man.
And so next week when it cools off, I will be back in the barn putting all the parts back together. So I've got August 23rd. I'm playing something called Porch Sessions.
Yeah.
In Pleasant Ridge.
Yeah, that's porch sessions all around, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the neighborhood, several blocks, and folks they basically give up their porch for the day and set up a PA system, and people go from house to house and have kind of a picnic listening to music. So I never did it before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, a woman named Jess Wright. She plays in a band called Moondate. She played after me at the Gaelic League. I played for the Corktown Music Festival this late winter, early spring, whatever it was. She played after me, went on my website and said, "Hey, I organized this thing. Would you love to play?" And so we're doing that.
Very nice.
I've got a private gig for Subdivision in September, and other than that, I'm looking to book some alehouse gigs and some other things. I've got a good buddy that I used to work with all the way back like 37 years ago. I run into every decade. Turns out I didn't know he was quite a fine drummer. He's now learning guitar. Taking lessons from Aaron. Him and Ashley run the open mic at the River's Edge, so I ran into him some months ago, and holy cow, he's a drummer. So he's got a bunch of my songs, and he's working out parts, so we'll see how that goes. I'd like to get in, ultimately, hopefully in the rooftop, and record some noisier, faster things.
Now, do you play mostly solo, or do you play full band, or?
Mostly solo.
Yeah.
12 years ago, my wife and a buddy, and occasionally another buddy, had a band called Completely Oblivious, which was the name of my company
Awesome.
that made the picks. And it just got, So you have, 25 original songs, and you ask, you go out to a bar or something and say, "Hey, like, book me, what kind of stuff do you play?" "Well, we play our own songs," right? Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
We didn't understand, and we meant to learn the covers, and we really had a few of them, but, as we were learning the covers, there was three of us writing. We kept writing stuff and fleshing them out, and it was like, cool, this works, and switching off instruments. Sometimes I play bass and whatever. So, but after 4 or 5 years of virtually no gigs and hearing loss,
Yeah. No, I get that.
and then so myself, my wife will come sing with me sometimes. My wife Bev,
Oh, very cool.
which is nice.
Yeah, I've played in bands for years because I was only a drummer, And so you can't be a solo drummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's, I took lessons from Andy. And he's a guitar teacher.
Yes.
And then I actually started playing my own gigs within a year. Not well, but, I figure more days behind us than ahead. When's the best time to start? Do you wait till you're ready?
Yes.
Or do you just do it and then you become ready later?
Yes.
Yeah.
When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Second best today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And Andy was very patient with this beginner.
Yeah, I teach lessons basically full time, but recording has been picking up. We do make recordings here. I used to teach recording at the Art Institute International and at Siena Heights University and Adrian College. Got my operator certification for Pro Tools and did some studio work out west at Epicenter Studios. My friend Mike Binder. Shout out to Epicenter and Mike Binder. He's out in Las Vegas now. He had several songs on the iTunes Top 10 with some of the artists he worked on. And going back to another story that you guys were talking about earlier about writing songs. I remember I was recording an instrumental guitar track with my friend Mike in the studio. And I was like, all right, here comes the chorus. Now, do you think I should go to A minor or should I maybe play an F here? And he's like, Andy, put your guitar down. Let's have a talk. You really have to do this for you. Don't try to impress me.
Yeah.
And don't play the chord you think I would like. Why don't you play the chord that you think goes there? And so we had this whole discussion of, you got to kind of do it for yourself.
Yeah.
It has to be your song.
Yes.
You can't write it because you hope someone else is going to like it.
Yeah.
And so, and then there was more to that story too. It was like, I was in the studio and I was playing. I don't know, I just kind of shook a little and I couldn't quite do this one passage. And he's like, stop the session. Turns the computer off. Go home. What I want you to do is not drink coffee for 2 weeks. And then I want you to come back and re-record the song. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. And he's like, well, I'm not going to record your song until you quit drinking coffee. All right. So I went home and it was super difficult. I didn't drink coffee for 2 weeks. Had a headache for 3 days.
Yeah.
Came back to the studio, walked in the door with my guitar. Hey, Andy, you want to go get a coffee? Wait a second. I thought I was not supposed to
How about
drink
after
coffee.
we cut the...
Yeah, well, I tried to do that too, but I didn't last. So let's go to Starbucks. And so, anyway, that recording turned out great. But,
right?
but now it's time for the question that I ask every guest. Do you write the lyrics first, or do you write the chords first?
Yes, and they knew this was coming, of course. Both. Neither. Sometimes they both come at the same.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been just having a thought of. So actually, the song I just played, the first line, "Rust in My Heart," was something that drifted into my head as I was falling asleep, and I wrote it down. Got up in the morning, and then pretty quickly, the kind of chord progression. Of course, then I jacked it up. I mean, the first one was, but on this blues bass, it's incredibly simple. A lot of minor chords, which makes it more fun. But so yeah, I don't really have a rule. I mean, I think Elton John probably has a system, but
So both,
yeah,
or neither?
both or neither. Meaning, I can either. Sometimes it's music first and fitting words. Sometimes it's words. Sometimes in Village Idiot was definitely a concept I had with word. Was the words first, and then trying to fit music to fit it.
Yeah.
In kind of a Tom Waits, setting or something, and then and sometimes they kind of come quickly all at once as I'm thinking of the words. I'm kind of hearing the chord progression of the melody. So yeah, I don't know if that's. I think most folks do music first and then fit lyrics from what I hear, but it can go either way. So
you don't really spend too much time thinking about it. It's just whatever the song, like whatever you feel on that song. So if you have some words or you have some chords, you just start from there and see where it takes you.
yeah, Yeah, and lately it's been more of a good idea, a phrase or something that can use in a chorus. I mean, choruses. Another question, maybe ask a lot of musicians, is, do you write the chorus first or the verse? Because chorus is, I mean, you really should spend most of your time on that, the uplifting and the bump in volume and, pitch rising most of the time. Is more important arguably than the verse, although your first line is also, I think your
First
chorus
line,
and your
yeah.
first line, you got 10 seconds,
Right. And for me, it usually was lyrics because I couldn't play melody instrument, but now it's been kind of both. I wrote a song Thursday that I was sitting at the computer at work, and I saw this on the computer. You know what I'm talking about? We refer to it that as the spinning wheel of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the song is entitled Spinning Wheel of Death.
Excellent.
And then I kind of thought about it, and I thought, okay, well, let's try this. I did this. Then I went to something like that, and they kind of melded together. And then I was thinking about, okay, what would fit in this world of the spinning wheel of death, and the anxiety about hitting deadlines and all that stuff, and it ended up. I wish I could remember the chords, but there's this one part that I sing, goes round and round, round and round, round and round, and that ended up played it. We had this songwriters thing here yesterday that we do once a month, and Andy said you should probably use that particular line more often because it was a nice line.
That's the hook of the song right there.
Yeah. What
It's
was
like,
the line again?
it goes round and round, round and round, round and round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sing it 2 times, but now it's at the beginning of the song, after the first chorus, after the second chorus, and at the end.
Nice.
And that's not even the chorus.
Yeah, nice. So you're doing the same kind of thing, kind of conceptualizing, taking something, and then
Yeah.
trying to figure out the words and music at the same time.
Yeah, and that's new.
Yeah.
Maybe you could consider that a tag since it's after a section.
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. I've also been writing.
We can call it whatever.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking less in terms of like chorus and verse and chorus, and more in like A and B parts that are interchangeable.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas one's not necessarily the chorus, but it's different. It's just
Yeah.
and bring parts of stuff back for intros and outros, and just normal
Yeah.
music stuff. But
What do I have? A, B, C, and I think I might even have a D part.
yeah, see, and that's cool. I think
Yeah.
that's movements and
Yeah.
classical music or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, very cool.
But the
So-
whole process is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, to see what can come out of you. This is mine. I birthed this thing. I didn't make the chords, but I structured them in a way that sounded pleasing to me, and melded well with the words.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, to me, that's the beauty of it.
I think words kind of have a sound to them. Certain words don't want to be played to certain melodies,
Yeah.
and or oftentimes your first cut, your first draft of something, you're like, all right, I got something here. It's not singable. You got all the prepositions and all the
Gotta
buts
tweak it.
ands and things. You can drop most of those. Those aren't needed, right?
Yeah.
I try to do something a little complicated, and this guy Mark said that part just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and so I changed that whole little
Yeah.
section to
Yeah.
parallel, the A part.
Yeah, exactly. And I like it when parts complement. If you have something a little more complicated and faster than something a little simpler and slower, if you can
Yeah.
do it in the same time or whatever.
Yeah.
Contrast, right?
Yeah, my contrast in that song, and it's pretty fresh for me. But I also, after I was going, how's it go? And then the chorus goes, where does it go? major 7
Yeah.
chords was a pretty cool contrast.
Yeah. So you had a 7 chord, I think, before that.
Those were also C major 7, D major 7, and I think this is an E major 7, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's a C major 7, D major 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I love.
Yeah, and those are just incredibly pretty.
Yes.
The biggest compliment is when someone can sing along.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's when you know you did something right, when
Yeah.
people sing along.
Now when we're on stage, I can have... Now, this part I want you all to sing along with, all 3 of you and the bartender, or the, barista. It goes round and round, round and round, round and round. Got it? I can,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah, that's perfect for that, too. I
Yeah.
mean, 4 or 5 words, too hard.
I know.
If you've ever done that, so
But,
brilliant. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. That's a new thing. And, I've been performing live for decades as a drummer, and a singing drummer. But it's kind of nice to be the guy that's out front.
Yeah.
For once.
Yeah.
How long have you been gigging?
It's a good question. I don't know. I always open mic'd and things, just not as furiously as the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So we'd come and go depending on responsibility. So my job, I traveled a lot. So I was Japan, all over Europe, Brazil, China, Korea, and so forth. So I did a lot of traveling. So there was a period of time in there. The kids were small. It was pretty hard to.
Well, yeah.
To gig. I still always played, right?
Yeah.
But it was hard to gig. So yeah, I don't know. Last couple of years, a whole lot. Weekly.
When my kid turned 19, that's when I started really getting back into things.
Yeah, exactly.
And then about 2011, I just learned about open mics. And that's where I met a lot of people.
That's how you learn your stuff. You got 15 minutes or 3 songs, plug in, got a crappy sound system, usually no monitors.
I would bring this and sit in with people to come home.
Nice. Now, how was it for you? So I've got a buddy that's a piano player, Evan Scott. He's reinventing himself now as a solo songwriter, Scott Shadow. Very, very cool, very cool. And he's been stepping out in the front. Has been a bit of nervousness, I guess, whatever. I'm just surprised. Other musicians I know that step back into the front role, especially if you're just playing by yourself or you're naked, you're playing your own songs in front of the world. Was it an adjustment for you to step out behind the kit with a full band, or not?
Slight, but there have been times. Well, it started with that, the Zen drum.
Yeah.
I was in a duo and we were both out front, and so that kind of helped the movement.
So you're up front, moving around and singing or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also wanted to show off this guitar.
I like your fretboard inlays.
Thank you. It's stickers. But I was over at Music Go Round and I saw this guitar and I thought, that's exactly like my other Martin.
Yeah.
And I love the size, the shape, the feel, the sound. And it was all sanded down.
Okay, so it was originally black.
No.
Oh, okay.
It was all sanded down. It was originally, brown.
Okay.
And so I thought, okay, I'm going to paint it. I did a horrible job. I need to touch up. And then it wasn't playable. So I took it back. I took it into Music Go Round, and they made it playable for me. But I also decided to put Bark's tails in the fretboard, just because that's kind of my performance name. And I'm really happy with. You heard the sound. It's got a beautiful sound to it. When you play it correctly.
Very nice.
And I love the feel of this size and shape of Martin.
Yeah. Is that a double or triple? Or I never remember the two. Those are two of the smaller ones. It's got that Martin.
It's an X Series Special.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's triple or double size, right?
I'm not sure.
My other Martin, it has triple OX.
Okay. All right.
And it's the same shape and size.
There you go.
Just
All right.
probably different years.
But it's got that very open Martin sound.
Yeah.
A little different than the Gibson sound.
Yeah. You brought a newer guitar.
I brought this guitar and I've showed it off on another podcast, but this is my Godin.
Yeah, it's
And
nylon.
I call it my Chet Atkins guitar.
Silk and steel nylon.
Doesn't have a scratch on it. Oh man, I forgot to tune. Oh my gosh, I'm way out of tune. You want to give me an A? I'm half step down.
Now you're taking it right straight through the amp, aren't you?
I'm plugged straight into the amp.
It needs an amp.
And you'll have to tell us what those buttons and bells and whistles are.
So this guitar has it's called a multi-tack system. And my friend Steve Churn was helping me figure out the MIDI capabilities. See, each one of the strings has its own pickup. It has 6 separate pickups, one for each string. Then it has circuitry for a MIDI, pitch to MIDI converter. And so, if you have a MIDI pickup, or if you, like a sound module, like a guitar synth, there's a 13-pin.
So you can assign each string a different thing if you
You can
want it.
assign each string to a different tone. And so you can switch patches on your MIDI controller here with these buttons. And then of course I have volume, low, mid, high, brilliance. So this is your volume. This is your lows. And this would be a mid.
That's really a good one there. That's useful,
And
huh?
then this is the high.
Yep.
And then brilliance.
Really high.
So you can play with those. And what I like about it is it has the string spacing like a classical guitar. So
Beautiful.
anyways,
Super cool. So
Because-
that plays really nicely with those light strings. I guess.
it's like a great shredder guitar. It's a really great lead guitar for, playing solos and such, but it also functions as a classical guitar.
Yeah.
Never feeds back, so I'm pretty happy.
Made
Absolutely.
in Canada?
Made in Canada out of
Yeah.
Canadian trees, everybody.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Beautiful.
This has a 9-volt thingy. And here's the story of this guitar. I went to Music Go Round. Shout out to Music Go Round in Ann Arbor. Quality guys there.
Been in there a bunch of times.
Yeah, me too.
And it was sitting on the shelf, and it was like $1,600. And I was like, that guitar is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guys were like, yeah, I know. And came back the next month, and it was $1,500. Came back the next month and it was $1,400.
Mhm.
Came back the next month and it was $1,300, and I came back the next month and it was $1,200. I came back the next month and it was $1,100, and I came back the next month and it was $1,000. And I was like chomping at the bit. Came back the next month and it was $800, and I'm like, I'm buying that.
Yeah.
So I got it for $800, and it was, originally $1,600. But they don't make these anymore, and you can't find one.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty happy with it. So.
Yeah.
And those are really versatile for the things you can do. Right?
Oh, you can dial in any kind of sound here, as you can see with the controls. But then the fact that you can just be on stage and play MIDI, I could play a drum. I could play a drum beat, hit this button, and now I'm on flute. And then I can hit this button, and now I have a saxophone, and then I can hit this button, and now I have a piano.
I would never be able to do that live.
That would be great for your looping. Andy is very, very talented with looping.
I suspect, yes.
Yeah, I've been, I played in a lot of bands over the years, and, guys show up late, or they eat the last slice of pizza, or, you have to share the money, split the money with them, and then they have creative differences, and so I kind of went the way of I'm just going to do drums, and then I'm going to play the chords, then I'm going to play the solo, and I'm just going to loop everything.
Yeah, wow.
So I just appear on stage alone, and that's kind of nice in the way that you don't have to rely on anyone else, and I can play all the parts by myself.
I'm going to have to catch one of these shows of yours. I want to see that. I'm a rudimentary looper. It took me a long time, and I can only do it with the second switch, because the double stop dancing thing is just too hard.
But I have the boomerang, so
yeah.
I have 4 loops. Okay, so I do a drum loop, which plays throughout the whole song, and I have 3 other loops, so I could do verse, chorus, bridge.
Yeah.
And then in that way, as the song plays, I can do all the famous hit songs, like I do, a whole 80s thing, Sunglasses at Night, and Don't Stop Believin', and I can go verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, and do the complete song.
And you also loop, you have a thing that makes it sound like a bass. What's it called?
The octave pedal.
And you have an octave pedal, so you'll loop a bass in there.
And exactly. And
then you loop a mandolin in there sometimes.
Right, and so I also bring the mandolin and the fiddle, and so while I've completed the track with drums, bass, and guitar, I'll set it down, grab the fiddle, and it'll be a fiddle solo, or a mandolin solo.
Are you familiar with Andrew Bird?
I mean, I've heard the name.
Okay, look him up sometime on YouTube.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, he whistles too, along with playing guitar.
Well, I don't whistle or sing.
And his speakers spin.
Okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
He controls that with his foot, but you sound like Andrew Bird.
But I do, unlike what you did, where you have your backing track, which sounds great, by the way. I just produce all the sounds on the stage for every song.
Nice.
And so, like with the boomerang that I have, when you turn the power off, you've lost the memory. It doesn't store anything.
Right.
So you've got one song, you can record the sounds right now. When you're ready to play the next song, the previous song's gone forever.
Yeah. And that's the way you should do it, actually. Playing live music, you should be creating all the parts, right?
Yeah.
This is sort of a gimmick for my last song.
Andy does this for a living. You and I have been amateurs. We're hobbyists. And so we do the best we can. You have all this cool stuff, and you're very talented with it.
Thank you. Likewise.
And I write interesting words.
Yes. Agreed.
And
That's
so-
cool, though. I'm going to have to catch a show. That's
Cool. Thanks for checking it out.
So we wanted to also suggest that you like us and you
Make sure you subscribe.
subscribe and
Also, if you're really enjoying this show, everybody out there that's listening, why not join Beyond Guitar as a member? It's $5, and then it helps to support the show. We are spending money on things like these nice mics that are sitting right here,
terribly expensive.
and anybody that joins the YouTube channel as a member, or even just gives $1 for a star in the chat, we'll just give you a shout out during the next episode.
Yeah.
And so next week we'll start a new thing where we list all the names of the sponsors and patrons that support the show.
There you go.
Yeah, because we got to keep the lights on too.
Yeah.
You know, Doug, it's been really nice getting to know you, and I really appreciate you reaching out to us. I believe you are the first person that's actually reached out to us and said, "Hey, I'd like to meet with you guys and chit-chat with you."
Well, I've learned not to be shy.
Yeah, well, no, you can't be shy.
You can't be shy in this business.
Everybody else we've had to beg and borrow and bribe.
Gotcha.
Um,
I'm easy then. I'm cheap.
And I feel like we really connected
yeah.
with our music and our stories.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah,
This was
very
really,
good.
really fun.
So be sure to check the links below to check out his music. We'll put some links to, you have Spotify.
I'm on everything.
You're on all the
Every
services.
one of
Okay.
them. Yeah.
So we'll put some of those links below and you can click on them and listen to more music. But let's wrap it up. Do you want to do a song together?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
This has been Studio C, the listening room, with our special guest, Doug Larsen.
And I'm Andy Schiller.
And I'm Mike Snyder Barker. We'll see you on the flip side.
See you next time.